A second commission of inquiry will be launched into the failings of Queensland's state-run forensic laboratory. An initial investigation revealed flaws in the extraction method used in forensic and DNA testing on 30,000 cases since 2007. Now new allegations have emerged since the start of last year's inquiry, taking the total number of cases to 37,000. I think Hedley Thomas is going to join us now. Is he? Let's go live to Hedley Thomas. Good to see you, Hedley.
Good morning, Laura.
You'd be welcoming this second inquiry. A good move?
I think it's a very good move, a bold decision by the Minister, Shannon Fentiman, because no doubt there would have been internal resistance to this. We've just had a powerful commission of inquiry for the last 6 months of 2022 deal with so many of the issues in the laboratory, and it made very strong findings of effectively corrupted science over a number of years. The recommendations delivered by Walter Sofronoff were almost universally adopted, and they were very sound recommendations. But what's happened since then is Dr Kirsty Wright, an amazing forensic biologist with whom I worked very closely for the Australian Shandy Story podcast series that really started all of this. She has found, since the inquiry run by Walter Sofronoff ended, further documents that point to an incredible cover-up in the lab from 2007, spanning 9 years, affecting many, many thousands of cases, and a problem on a scale much bigger than anything the previous inquiry dealt with. And adding to this problem, making it even more awkward, Laura, is that the inquiry's expert witness, one of its expert witnesses, Professor Lindsay Wilson-Wild from South Australia, she received the same document that Kirsty examined, and Professor Wilson-Wild gave evidence to the inquiry last year, and in her evidence, she didn't raise any concerns about the cover-up and the catastrophe in yield detection, that is DNA yield detection, that Dr Kirsty Wright has only recently discovered reading the same document. So it's awkward for the government because Professor Lindsay Wilson-Wild, after Walter's inquiry last year, was appointed to run it all. She was headhunted from South Australia to be in charge of the new reform process, to be in charge of all scientific services, to be the CEO of the lab. And so these are very difficult questions that now need to be answered. Why was it covered up originally? Why was a DNA method that was going to fail thousands of victims of crime introduced by the lab in 2007, 2008, and going for 9 years? And why wasn't it brought to the attention of the inquiry last year by one of the expert witnesses who we believe, it seems, had evidence of it?
I mean, the cover-up is almost, and will always, it seems, worse than the crime, but the cover-up just meant that these mistakes were made for a decade longer, more.
And this is what stuns Dr Wright, who is a very dedicated forensic biologist, someone who believes in the integrity of science. She can't wrap her head around how scientific colleagues would knowingly persevere with a method of testing DNA which was going to lead, and did lead, to a collapse in the actual yield of DNA in crime scene samples, a collapse in the order of up to 92%. And it could be that she has found the explanation, the major explanation for the failure of many hundreds, perhaps thousands of cases, because the lab was simply not detecting the DNA. They weren't detecting the DNA, in Kirsty's view, because they changed the method. They went from manual processing of samples, that is by people, to a robotic processing method. And the robots do a good job. It's automated processing. A lot of labs are using it. But when you change it so fundamentally and alter the settings and do other things, you can get a faster turnaround time, but you don't find the DNA.
Thanks to your reporting in this first inquiry, now this second inquiry, have things materially changed already?
Yes. as a result of what Walter Sofronoff vindicated from Kirsty Wright's work and what Walter Sofronoff discovered independently with his inquiry and, of course, his recommendations, the lab has been solving crimes that would have otherwise gone unsolved. And in the Australian last month, we revealed how a murder had been solved. It would have gone unsolved. Several serious sexual assault cases. There will be undoubtedly many more. There's going to be an incredible legacy for victims of crime and the criminal justice system for many years to come as a result of the discovery that the state's government-run DNA testing lab has been a basket case for many years. And hopefully when we get to the end of this inquiry, which will be mercifully short and tightly confined, the last major problem that Dr. Wright has found will be covered off. The cover-up, if that's what it is, will be revealed, and we'll understand why the inquiry last year didn't actually discover it, why the expert witness didn't raise it.
Hedley, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I love a mercifully short inquiry as well. We'll see you soon.